Number one Ibble Dibble here. Hello, friends. How are you today? Are you absolutely tickled by the rapidity of H&M's staff in responding to the Hollywood Reporter article via Us Weekly, supposedly? I am. But not so tickled. I was going to chat about it the same day Prince William announced the Earthshot finalists. If you haven't looked into those organizations, highly recommend. And if you haven't heard my reaction to the original Hollywood Reporter article, it's linked in the card above and the description box below. To recap, in my opinion, Meghan and Harry are more or less marks in Hollywood, whose reputation as deeply insecure, incompetent, inefficient bullies who buy into their own victim narrative precedes them. So they've attracted an office of people who may or may not be effective elsewhere, but are able to essentially treat their roles with H&M as paid vacations. I'm sure, as with any other workplace, some are hacks specifically aiming to take advantage. Others come in with the best intentions and find themselves cut off at the knees, and still others vacillate between the two, aiming to accomplish something small at least, simply to have a ready one-sentence answer in the interviews they'll be doing as their contract approaches expiry. My question before we even get started is, are they really even defending Meghan? Or is it simply in their best interest to make Archwell, whatever, look like less of a shit show than it is because they spent a year or two there? Shall we?
Celebrity news: what it's really like to work for Meghan Markle. Staffers reveal truth behind rumors. Exclusive. By Justin Ravitz and Jamie Harkin, September 24, 2024. Hours after the Hollywood Reporter published a piece alleging Meghan Markle's terrible behavior is the cause of the high turnover rate at the company she runs with her husband, Prince Harry, a current employee posted a note on Instagram passionately debunking the report.
Who? Where? Does anybody know? I went to Instagram, I went to Us Weekly, I listened to their little video, I clicked their link in bio. There is no link to any supposed post by any supposed employee with any other supposed employees responding that I could find. Can you find it? Was it an Instagram story that expires in 24 hours? Did I miss it? Is it threads that I'm not signed up for? Is it Meghan making shit up and putting words in her own employees' mouths because she knows there's nothing they can do about it? Let me know in the comments below. This is all I saw on Instagram, and it's just a summary of the article.
This week, we chose to put Meghan Markle as one of our covers again. To be honest, I didn't expect to do another cover on Meghan quite so soon, as we'd already covered her return to the spotlight just 2 months ago.
Whenever a Brit starts a sentence with, "to be honest," he's very, very British, and deep down inside, he's very, very embarrassed at having to say this. Return to the spotlight? What spotlight? What return? What are you talking about? Just kidding, Dan Wakeford has been doing this nonsense his entire working life. He started out as a showbiz reporter for News UK in 1999, moved on to Heat magazine. Do you remember that? Put in 11 and a half years at In Touch and Life and Style, 7 more at People magazine, and after just a year-long stint at a failed gossip rag called The Messenger, he's back as the editor-in-chief / VP of Us Weekly. So Meghan's got him on speed dial. H&M might not be welcome at People with the WME deal going sour, so Us Weekly is their new pay-for-play, I presume.
However, Meghan was thrust into the centre of the news once again because of negative headlines about how she conducts herself as a boss.
Imagine getting this script directly from Meghan and being thrust into the centre of the news once again because you're the only one in the office with a British accent.
The reports claimed that those who work for Meghan are terrified of her, and it included quotes from a source calling her a dictator in high heels who belittles people and has reduced grown men to tears.
At first, I was unconvinced that Meghan herself was the source for the Hollywood Reporter article, but I'm starting to believe it because of the repetition of this phrase in her own clearly paid for response.
But if I have to cry to keep you, I don't mind weeping. It will keep you by my side.
Dictator in high heels is something only the most open misogynist would say. It's an anachronistic fetishizing of workplace gender power imbalances. A vibe Meghan seems to get off on based on the topics that she covered in her Archetypes podcast and the way she discussed them. Further, it's a turn of phrase that creates a striking visual, something Meghan has proven again and again is very important to her. She is not ever academic, abstract, or dispassionate. She paints scenes with words intended to charge you with emotion, not realizing that method is only as effective as it is relatable, and she's not relatable at all.
Ain't too proud of things, darling. Please.
I almost think this is Meghan's version of a help wanted ad for a new chief of staff for Harry. You better come get this gaslighting, gatekeeping, gaping girl boss.
I ain't too proud of things, baby, baby.
Ah. Speaking of arresting visuals, the way Meghan dresses herself is sloppy, and she very much gives tranked out, lifeless vibes, not energized, meticulous, on speed vibes these days. So I've actually never thought of it before, but all the weird turtlenecks, the updos, the minimal 90s suiting, the white on cream on ivory on off-white, the occasionally jarringly inappropriately short outfits and obsession with saying she has legs for days, the inappropriate flirting with government officials. I think she's been cosplaying Sharon Stone in Basic Instinct for months, if not years now, and is kind of insulted we never noticed.
I've always had a fondness for white silk scarves. They're good for all occasions.
We talked to 5 staff on the record and another 2 off the record, and they say that the previous anonymous allegations made are wildly inaccurate and damaging.
I have nothing to hide.
All 7 employees had a positive experience working for Meghan and Harry.
Sir, you work for Us Weekly. We live in a world where we can't even trust the New York Times, and you're acting like your sources are Deep Throat Junior, the Third, the Fourth, and Baby Chip? I guess they paid for the premium prefix puff piece package combo.
Josh Kettler, who left in August, says he was warmly welcomed and they're dedicated and hardworking. Ashley Hansen, the global press secretary to the Duke and Duchess and the head of communications for Archewell, says her bosses couldn't have been more supportive when she had to take extended time off for a serious surgery. And Mandana Danyani, former Archewell COO, shares that some of her favourite memories were during weekly meetings in their Montecito home, where Meghan always served the most incredible lunches and snacks.
We know the super high paid consultants and managerial level people are going to cover for her. We know narcissists treat people they believe have power over their financial and reputational outcomes like gold. I want to hear from the cleaners, the cooks, the nannies, the gardeners. I want to hear from assistant 2 and assistant 3, the assistant to the assistant, not the chief of staff. But you didn't bother to ask them, did you?
I'm not stupid.
The 7 current and former staff members describe a supportive and fun workplace that involves care packages, happy hours, karaoke nights, credit being given for great ideas, and everyday kindness.
Have you ever fucked on cocaine, Nick?
It's so stupid of them to expect the entire world to just take their word for it. Loves this little pretense to credibility flourish at the end of the Instagram video, though.
I'd have to be pretty stupid to write a book about killing and then kill somebody the way I described it in my book.
The September 12th article, which claimed that those who work for Meghan are terrified of her, included quotes from a source calling her a dictator in high heels who belittles people and has reduced grown men to tears.
I'd be announcing myself as the killer.
The staffer said the allegations made in the article are wildly inaccurate and damaging to both the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and members of their team. Current and former staffers quickly flooded the comments with statements of support. "Best bosses I have ever had," one current team member wrote, while an ex-staffer added that their time with the Sussexes was truly an honor.
Well, I guess her vibe pulled her tribe.
Games are fun.
The Duchess of Sussex has long been dogged by reports she promotes a toxic workplace environment. Back in 2021, days before the couple sat down for an in-depth CBS News interview to share their story, the Times of London reported the former actress had allegedly bullied and reduced staff members to tears at Kensington Palace. In August, News Nation claimed Meghan and Harry had lost 18 employees between their time in the UK and the US. They launched Archul Foundation in 2020, with a source blaming an unbearable and condescending Meghan for the churn and burn rate.
The fun thing about this is I'd forgotten about almost all of this stuff. What about you? It's giving Babs, it's giving Streisand effect. Only Meghan and Harry, the crazy victim narcissists, keep a running tally of everyone who has ever offended them. I might Google these articles if I get bored.
Several current and former staffers paint a different picture to us. Ben Browning, their former head of content, who was responsible for getting their Harry and Meghan documentary on Netflix before leaving after his contract expired in early 2023, says his experience at the company and with Meghan and Harry in general was positive and supportive, adding, "We all continue to be friends. The narratives we've seen suggesting the contrary are untrue."
Sure, I believe they're friends in the LA sense of if they ever bring him a project, maybe he'll see what he can do with it. If he's ever shopping a project, he sure as hell is going to dial their private numbers and see if he can get some money. Hell, maybe they're even friends, not in a deep sense, but those kind of friends that you enjoy going out to dinner or drinks with maybe once a month. Just because they really provide the entertainment. It's an alcohol and sometimes drug-fueled live-action psychological showdown every time. A brand of crazy, so compelling. It adds spice to your life and is worth tipping the waitstaff double for.
One-time Chief of Staff Catherine St. Laurent tells us she and the couple have also remained close and says, "The time I spent working with Prince Harry and Meghan was incredibly meaningful to me." While Josh Kettler's August departure as Harry's chief of staff sparked more negative press, he says he was warmly welcomed by both Harry and Meghan and the Archul team during his stint. "They are dedicated and hardworking," he tells us of the pair. "It was impressive to witness." Ashley Hansen, Global Press Secretary to the Duke and Duchess and the head of communications for Archul, says her bosses couldn't have been more supportive when she had to take some extended time off for a serious surgery. "When I told them, I was met with the kind of concern and care a parent would express if it were their own child," she recalls. "I was asked what I needed, how and if they could help, and told to take as much time as I needed." Hansen says Harry and Meghan sent flowers and care packages, but most profoundly to me, Meghan would personally reach out to my husband daily to make sure that we both were okay and had support, she adds. "It meant so much to him and even more to me. You don't realize how much that kind of kindness and thought means until you need it."
Truly an honor, incredibly meaningful, impressive to witness, the kind of care and concern a parent would express for their own child, gilding the lily. But that, Ashley, calling your husband every day,
I literally feel like she's like a spy.
I don't know anybody who would interpret that from a boss as genuine care and support and not spying and attempts at control. Every day, did she have an alarm set on her phone?
I think she's a government asset. I really do believe that.
Normal hiccups. There's little doubt the company, which employs a small team of roughly 16 full-time employees and is comprised of the Archul Foundation, their charitable nonprofit, a production side, which deals with audio work like podcasts and their Netflix deal, and communications, Markle's new lifestyle brand is a separate entity, has had some growing pains.
Nah, growing pains are a sign of growth. That's not what's happening over there. 16 employees, what would you bring that in at? 2.5 million, 2.25 million? Separate from American Riviera Orchard, separate from their security theater, all for vanity's sake.
Archul is not unlike a startup. It's relatively young, says Hansen,
No, Archwell is not like a startup. A startup implies potential.
Adding, two things can be equally true. You can be a great leader and still have turnover. No boss or company is immune to that.
Two things can be equally true, Ashley. Your boss can send you flowers and care packages and still be a fucking psycho.
Adds a current employee who asked to remain anonymous. People leave at any company. They get new opportunities, change their careers, or feel their role isn't the right fit. They also sometimes get let go. Those decisions are part of doing business. Hansen maintains Meghan and Harry have no hard feelings toward anyone who's left. They want people to grow and to have opportunity, whether that's within or eventually outside of the company. Good vibes only.
Yada, yada, yada.
The current anonymous staffer says colleagues have been dumbfounded by the claims, adding, "It's clear where this type of commentary is coming from. It's likely made up from someone who's disgruntled."
People who are disgruntled don't need to make shit up. And it's super disturbing that you can't tell if people are unhappy in that workplace and who's unhappy and figure out why. How many chiefs of staff do you need to figure it out?
Browning tells us the narrative is simply a predictable attempt at creating intrigue through sowing false conflict.
Ooh, were those his exact words? Because that kind of sounds like a disgruntled ex-staffer pretending to unwittingly reveal their obnoxious PR strategy.
The office culture is positive. "This is the first company I've worked where I liked every person," says the source. Harry and Meghan picked the best of the best from every field and watered the seeds for them to flourish.
No, they hire the best they can get and better than they can afford, but by no means the best in every field. Don't flatter yourself. As for watering seeds and letting them flourish, where's the flourish? It would be such a coup if you convinced these two idiots that you were building their legacy in the Lin-Manuel Miranda sense.
What is a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden you never get to see.
Bravo!
We have an enormous microscope on us, but good things are happening.
Yeah, it's doubtless difficult to work at a place where the owners need to publicize every fart. I wonder if the unproductive staff uses this as an excuse to Harry and Meghan, the same way Harry and Meghan use it as an excuse to the rest of the world. Oh, we can't function because we're under this magnifying glass. So hard, so hot in here. I wonder if Harry believes it and Meghan is forced to see the silently and passive aggressively assemble care packages.
Staffers outside of the production team, which has an office in Hollywood, work remotely most of the time, including Harry and Meghan, who share an office at their Montecito home. Occasionally, staffers will gather at the couple's mansion or meet at Soho Works. The teams find ways to work together in shared spaces, says a former staffer.
Hey, whatever happened to that big empty office with the feather on the wall, the one raided by the confused Frenchman?
Adding that everybody's welcome to request in-person meetings with Harry or Meghan wherever and whenever.
I bet no one does.
While the Sussexes get dressed up for formal events, they sometimes show up at virtual meetings in baseball hats and t-shirts.
Again, with the visuals, why do we care?
During weekly Zoom calls, Harry will chat casually with staffers. He's fun. He definitely takes the work seriously, but when a meeting starts, the first 5 or 10 minutes are all pleasantries. Like, "How was your weekend?" Or "How's the construction going at the house?"
They're trying to surprise us here with Harry's basic manners, but really they're just confirming how out of touch H&M are. When you have meetings, calls twice a day, 3 times a day, every day, when you're actually really working together on something, you don't do this every time.
The ex-employee says, as a group, they go to happy hours and have holiday parties. "We're planning a karaoke night," adds the current staffer, "because we have 2 people getting married on the team."
I hope you don't mind. I hope you don't mind that I put down in words how one.
Obviously, it depends on the individuals involved, their preferences, the company culture, all of it. Obviously, many people make real friendships with their coworkers, even marry their coworkers. But for me, a culture of unpaid after-hours fraternization with coworkers is not a pro. It creates in-group, out-group dynamics that are never good vibes, but can be particularly hazardous at a really small company. To some degree, it's inevitable If there are good people involved, it's harmless. But I think a lot of great professionals would find texts my husband every day when I'm out sick and twice a week happy hour too close for comfort. And Megan knows this. She was the one who said, I can't believe I'm not getting paid for this when she was doing her little junior royal meet and greets. I could see her turning the whole place into a Megan's best friend contest when she's low on narcissistic supply. Scary.
Sweet gestures. Other acts of kindness from the Duke and Duchess. When I adopted my dog, the next day, I had a luxury brand leash and new collar on my doorstep, says the former staffer, who adds that parents-to-be are given brand new gifts and top-notch second-hand stuff from the couple themselves, like unused car seats and baby items they no longer need.
So, this is so Harry and Meghan thinking just basic manners are incredibly admirable acts of charity.
During the Colombia trip, the Duke and Duchess texted a team leader to take everyone out for drinks. They want to take care of us, the current employee says.
Yeah, just bog standard.
Meghan will do things like, you mentioned on the call your skin is bothering you. I put together a kit for you.
My skin is crawling, just knowing that.
And during team visits to the couple's Montecito home, no one departs empty-handed. Whenever staff goes to their house, they leave with a basket with fresh flowers, fresh fruit, fresh eggs, the staffer says.
Okay, this is kind of cute. We know how much Megs loves a swag bag. I think it's nice that she tries to give that experience to others.
Behind the scenes, Meghan's known for giving credit where it's due. If you're in a meeting and a great idea is referenced, she makes sure to give props to the person who generated the idea, says the former employee. After a big trip, every employee gets a personal email thanking them for their contribution in making it a success. The former employee says Meghan is the first person to wish staffers a happy birthday and is compassionate and understanding when it comes to illness or family commitments.
I guess in the US, we do celebrate the bare minimum.
As for rumors of Meghan's penchant for tantrums, the current staffer says they have never heard her yell, explaining that the Duchess gives clear direction and is solution-oriented.
Yeah, you work remotely and pop by once a month for your swag bag. Where there's smoke, there's fire. We never hear leaks from Princess Anne's staff about her popping off on her servants, whereas Princess Margaret was infamous. A boss can have zero tolerance for nonsense and be reasonably polite about it. I suspect Meghan requires her employees to tolerate a lot of her nonsense and is quite rude about it.
And those reports of firing off demanding emails at 5 a.m.? Meghan's official email signature reads, my working day may not be your working day. Please do not feel obliged to reply to this email outside your normal working hours.
Ha! I would bet money that was post-palace. I don't believe Harry and Meghan are so obtuse. They really think their employees are strictly self-enforcing their own rights to disconnect. I think they know that in the best friend contest office, people are very strongly incentivized to reply. If Meghan can call or text Ashley's husband every day, Meghan can save her emails and texts to draft or schedule them and send them later.
On the defense, loyal staffers take the outside criticism to heart.
Very strange wording. Staffers take the criticism to heart would make sense, right? We're criticizing the fact that the company is not very productive. The stuff they have put out hasn't been particularly high quality or popular, maybe one or the other. If you were a hardworking staff member, of course you would take this criticism to heart. But loyal staff members taking the criticism to heart implies staff members take the criticism of Harry and Meghan to heart. Why?
We're here for a reason, says the current team member.
This is the worst trend in California right now. People pretending their dumb jobs are callings to better humanity. You're not there for any reason besides a paycheck. The world would not be better or worse without you. You don't matter.
If you come for our bosses, you're coming for us.
Gang, gang. I hope you brought a velvet casket for those Saudi blood diamonds, because it's on. And I only brought a tiny, tiny little doll-sized white satin-lined coffin for your angelic reputation.
This isn't a criminal organization. We're trying to do good.
Keyword trying. You're also trying my patience right now. I don't think this is an anonymous staffer. I think it's Megan. She loves to end a print piece with a really aggressive threat.
A second former staffer recalls asking for a break during a low point in their lives and says Harry and Meghan were more than happy to give them time off. No questions asked. I needed to be totally off the grid. They couldn't have been more supportive and even paid me during my leave. It's so in their nature to lean in and support and take into consideration that there is a human behind this job.
Silly me, assuming their employees would have contractually furnished paid leave. Are they 1099ing these people?
A former COO turned lifelong friend. Part of the profound injustice of having to speak publicly on this in light of these endless and damaging narratives is that so much of the kindness, mentorship, and support that Prince Harry and Meghan share with others happens quietly behind closed doors, says Mandana Dayani, who served as the president of Archul for 18 months in 2021 and 2022.
Mandana Dayani. You have a law degree. You know that no part of this constitutes a profound injustice to anyone. Friends, I think we've discovered the originator of the quietly, behind closed doors, quietly, secret meetings, quiet, doing good in private, in quiet, secretly excuse for accomplishing nothing. Too bad Mandana can't show her support quietly in private, secretly, behind closed doors because she's embarrassing herself.
I'll never forget sitting on the floor in their kitchen while Meghan was feeding Princess Lillian cold calling a dozen senators.
Oh, I guess she was also the winner of the Megan's Best Friend contest. At least before Mandana got invited to the Peltz Beckham wedding and H&M didn't. Also, sorry. Sorry, maybe I'm more formal than some, but sitting on the kitchen floor is giving barefoot to dinner. Is your child a dog? Did you give away your secondhand but very high-end high chair to an employee in need? Could you not?
Their reactions were unbelievable. To ask them to advocate for paid leave.
Their reactions were unbelievable, or their reactions were disbelieving? I guess USC is tier 2.
Dayani and Meghan traveled to Uvalde, Texas, after the tragic 2022 school shooting. For hours, Meghan sat in a room with grieving families, going one by one to each person, hugging them and crying with them. She recalls to us, noting that Meghan has since kept in touch with the families affected by the tragedy.
This is absolutely insane to me. Meghan completely inappropriately inserted herself into a room where only loved ones and mental health professionals should have been permitted and committed an unspeakable act of emotional vampirism. It would have been unacceptable if she had paid for the funeral service and burial plot of every child victim, all of which would have cost a good deal less than her private jet flights to and from, though she didn't. I believe she donated snacks. Is that right? Let me know in the comments below. She donated snacks and was accompanied by a paid photographer. Is that right? And you're telling us she was so gratified by the misery of these parents, she still calls them? She's a literal ghoul. Prove me wrong. Publish a shiny, happy tax return showing she's paid for the mental health care of these parents. Have the Uvalde parents not posted anything about their incredible saint and sponsor Meghan Markle because they're private and it was behind closed doors and done quietly? Or is it because she didn't do anything? As far as I can tell on social media, she showed up with a birthday cake and that's it. Someone please tell me I'm wrong in the comments.
While working with the Sussexes, she grew close to them personally. Some of my favorite memories were during our weekly meetings in their Montecito home, where Meghan always served the most incredible lunches, snacks, and her latest beautiful concoction. They all remain close. These are kind, decent, caring people who I am very proud to call my friends.
And that's the end of the article. What a totally grim ending. It's an indictment, not an absolution. And I get the impression that Mandana and Meghan are really two peas in a pod, that they both participated in that Uvalde thing and they both thought it was lovely and correct. I suspect Mandana is also something of a narcissist because she perceives the lovely spread Meghan put on for C-suite meetings at her home as indicative of Meghan being a good person, but witnessed Megan giving just a crate of sandwiches to blood donors in Uvalde after 19 students and 2 teachers were murdered and 17 others were injured. Private photographer in tow. I would say no one cares about the catering, but you know who could have really used lovely lunches, great snacks, and the latest concoctions for at least a couple weeks? Those parents. It couldn't have been an easy time to eat or cook or feed their other children. Grim, grim, grim. Well, this one was a roller coaster. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Toodles.
Did I miss something?
I told him you wouldn't want to hide.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.